I want to share with you what I am growing even more adamant about in terms of my belief that this is the number one copywriting skill today. The number one copywriting skill today. And if you're a copywriter or a marketer or anybody that's involved with putting out messages into the market, maybe an entrepreneur, and having that message that goes into the market, whether it's in written form or in some kind of multimedia like video, if you're involved with that at all, understanding, of course, what the number one most valuable copywriting skill is could be tremendously valuable to you. So what's this skill? My initial title for this video was Copywriter as Storyteller. Copywriter as Storyteller. And that's what it is. The actual ability to be a storyteller, but beyond that, what I call a story seller. That is honestly, like when I look at copy that works, it is because that copywriter really understands the principles of storytelling and story selling. And so when I look at the best copy in, today, 2021, it's March 2021 as I'm recording this, what's the best copy that I'm seeing? It's telling a story. The best video sales letters or sales letters, telling a story, landing pages, webinars, emails, Facebook and other ads, even like books that are designed to introduce somebody to maybe a higher level service or software or something like that. Like the best copy, the most persuasive messaging in every media is stories. Stories. And so if you want to be persuasive in copy, in media, in marketing, in advertising, in any selling message, you must get good at telling stories. So I guess let me tell a little story, but I don't want to get too many people in trouble with this or too many people angry at me. So I've been editing a lot of copy recently, multiple copywriters, drafts written by other people. I see it, like I do copy reviews, whatever. And so many times the promises are, okay, they're good enough, right? The copy tone and language and general communication and clarity and all the like fundamentals of writing, just like being able to write clearly, cohesively, structure things. Yeah, people can improve their structure. But in general, like people who are already successful as copywriters and marketers, all of that stuff is okay, it's good enough, right? What I'm seeing missing most, like that missing ingredient that could turn so much copy into so much better copy is stories. It really is. Like I go in there and I say, hey, what is the story behind this? Like, how did you discover this? How did you figure out that this actually works? If other people tried it, what has their experience been like? What are all of these, what are all the stories behind all of these claims and promises that you're making? And as soon as that's in there, it's like a whole new level of magic, of excitement is added to the copy. And it was there all along, like it was in their heads, right? But they didn't let it out. Like they felt like they didn't have permission or whatever, or weren't driven to just really dive into what that story is behind whatever it is that they're saying, like whatever message that they're trying to communicate. They didn't have that there. And then as soon as the stories are in there, it's like, wow, like I want to listen to every word of this. I want to read every word of this. I want to pay attention because this is interesting. And it's interesting, but it also is compelling to me. Like it makes me want to dive in and like learn more or purchase the product or whatever. Like I go through a video sales letter that's full of stories and I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, this sounds really cool. Like I want this. And then I have to remember that like I wrote it. But finding like these story driven pieces of copy where it opens up in a story, and yeah, there's some promises and so on, and it teaches you about like the opportunity or the solution to the problem or whatever. Yeah, all that's there. but it's like story and then a little bit of that and then story and story and story. And then you're just like, ooh, like I want to join those people in that story. And that's the copy that gets super exciting for prospects and makes them want to buy. So like big recommendation in terms of just being a better storyteller for the purpose of marketing, of copywriting, is like figure out the narrative from the narrative arc from darkness to light, from like problem to solution, that demonstrates the problem to the solution behind the offer, and demonstrate this like transformation of, I didn't have what I wanted, or I had this problem and I didn't have the solution, and demonstrate that transformation. And you'll find that like it's just an incredible, compelling story that pulls people in. And if you have that like key ingredient to the transformation, then people are going to want to buy. And so if you're able to demonstrate this big transformation from like the darkest dark to the lightest light, you're going to get big results. And that's super, super powerful, just constantly thinking about that. And like I teach my paisa formula, which really is the foundation of so much of the thinking behind the storytelling. It's like, I had a problem, P for problem. I had a problem. It was agitating. Here's the emotional agitation behind it. A for agitation. I tried other solutions, but found them invalid. I for invalid or invalidation. I've actually landed on a solution that worked. I figured out what it took to actually solve the problem. S for solution. And then I took action and I got results. A for action, right? So it's problem, agitate, invalidate, solve, action, right? And if you go through that formula, and you just kind of fill in the blanks and find a way to tell it in a way that feels compelling, like you're like really connected with the reader, then it's very hard for that not to do a good job of persuading. Now, in my story selling masterclass, I actually go much deeper into how to become a good storyteller and story seller for the purpose of copywriting and marketing. And I do say that there are 3 pillars to highly effective story selling. So one, of course, is the story itself that you tell. 2 is the character. You want to create a character that the reader resonates with, or figure out a way to present your story that adds to the sense of character that will make the reader root for you and be alongside with you and feel like you're like them. And also characters in your customers and your clients in those stories where your reader feels connected to them. So we have story, we have character, and then we have selling. You have to understand where to fit stories in, which is a lot of places, right? But how they can contribute to the different steps in the selling process, and how to use stories in the context of selling, so you're not just writing a novel. Because novels are great for entertainment, but they don't necessarily get results, right? They don't generate business results and sales. So you have to figure out how to use stories in your selling messages. And honestly, as humans, like we have developed over tens of thousands of years, perhaps more, as a storytelling species. We convey like all of our culture, all of our learning is conveyed through stories, and it's like basically built into our DNA and how we think. And it's a very natural way to communicate. And the great thing about it is, because it's so natural for us to like want to tell and hear stories, it works in copywriting too. Like if we're just communicating human to human, it works. And it's a very effective form of communication. And so, if you want to get good at the number 1 copywriting skill today, focus on storytelling and, importantly, story selling. Now, I'm including a link in the description to my story selling masterclass, which is where I teach those 3 pillars of highly effective story selling. And there's a bunch of templates for stories that can be used in story selling. A ton of great content in there. And it's part of my BTMS Insiders training library, which is like Netflix for copywriting and marketing training. I'll include a link to the description of that too. But basically, you pay one low monthly fee and you get immediate streaming access to the entire catalog of training, including the story selling masterclass. But it's actually over 100 hours total of highly valuable training on copywriting and marketing. And you can get access to it actually right now if you click the link in the description. So with these videos, I always love it if you leave a comment and let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found it and why. Like, what are your biggest takeaways? What are your biggest action items? How are you going to use this moving forward? Also, tap that like button before you go so you get more content like this delivered to you, and so the magical algorithms of the internet will know to share with more people like you who will find it valuable. You can certainly share it with folks directly, and subscribe before you go. Subscribe here. Also go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. That link's in the description too. If you're not yet a subscriber, that's where you get my daily emails, including these video episodes and more exclusive content for email subscribers. Again, my name is Roy Furr for Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I always aim for 10 out of 10 value. I hope that I've delivered it here, and I look forward to seeing you again in your next video issue. I will see you soon. Bye.